The massive alien ships appeared over Earth without warning. They were beautiful in a cold, terrifying way. Each vessel looked like it was carved from a single piece of black crystal, stretching for miles across the sky. Their surfaces reflected the stars, making them appear like holes in space itself. President Martinez stood at the window of the United Earth Assembly Building, watching the ships hover silently above the major cities. His hands shook as he reached for his coffee. In his 40 years of politics, he had never faced anything like this. "Sir, they're requesting to speak with our leaders," said General Patricia Wong, her voice steady despite the situation. She had been Earth's top military advisor for the past decade, and her calm presence was the only thing keeping the president from panic. "Do we have a choice?" Martinez asked. "Not really. They've made it clear that refusing to listen would be unwise." The alien representative appeared in the assembly hall through some kind of projection technology that made the air itself shimmer. The being was tall, easily 8 feet, with a body that reminded everyone of a praying mantis crossed with a spider. Its skin was silver and smooth, and its 4 eyes glowed with a cold blue light. "I am Ambassador Vex Thara of the hegemony of 6, the creature spoke, its voice coming from everywhere at once. "We represent the oldest and most powerful civilizations in this galaxy." The assembly hall fell silent. 2,000 representatives from every nation on Earth waited to hear what this alien had to say. "Your species has grown beyond its boundaries," Vexithera continued, its tone carrying the same emotion someone might use to discuss pest control. "You have spread to 17 star systems. You have built colonies and mining stations. You act as if you belong among the civilized races of this galaxy." President Martinez stepped forward. "We mean no harm to anyone. We're simply trying to build a better future for our people." Vexithara's eyes focused on him with what looked like amusement. "Your intentions are irrelevant. You are children playing with fire in a library. Your crude expansion threatens the stability of civilized space." Admiral Sarah Chen sat in the military section, her jaw clenched tight. She had spent 20 years building Earth's space fleet. She had overseen the construction of humanity's first real warships, the establishment of colonial defense forces, and the training of crews who could fight in the cold darkness between stars. Listening to this alien talk about humans like they were insects made her blood boil. "We offer you terms," Vexthera announced, and the hall became even quieter. "You will abandon all colonies beyond your home system. You will dismantle your military vessels. You will provide 60% of your industrial output and technological development to the hegemony as tribute." Angry voices erupted across the Biur hall. Representatives shouted in dozens of languages, but Vexithara continued as if nothing had happened. "In return, you will be allowed to exist under our protection. Your species will serve as workers and resource gatherers. You will be given tasks suitable to your level of development." "And if we refuse?" Martinez asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then you will learn what happens when primitive species challenge their betters. We have erased civilizations from the galaxy before. Your cities will burn, your colonies will be destroyed. Your species will serve us in chains, or it will not serve at all." Admiral Chen stood up. Every eye in the hall turned to her. "How many ships do you have in this system?" Vexithera seemed surprised by the question. "That is not your concern. I'm making it my concern." "How many ships?" 12 dreadnoughts, each capable of cracking a planet's surface. 47 cruisers with weapons that can destroy your largest cities in minutes. Over 300 smaller vessels. Your primitive fleet consists of what? 30 ships? 40? Chen smiled, and something in that smile made several nearby representatives step back. "Our fleet is exactly what it needs to be." "Admiral," President Martinez said quietly, "please." "No, sir," Chen replied, never taking her eyes off the alien. "This thing wants to know about our military capacity? Let me tell it something about human military capacity." She walked closer to Vexithera's projection. "We've been fighting wars on Earth for 10,000 years. We've killed each other with rocks, swords, bullets, bombs, and nuclear fire. We've fought in deserts, jungles, mountains, and cities. We've fought over territory, resources, ideas, and gods." Do you know what that makes us? Primitive savages, Vexothera replied. Experts, Chen said. We're experts at war, and you just declared war on us. The alien's four eyes narrowed. You have 7 rotations of your planet to accept our terms. After that, we will demonstrate why the hegemony has ruled this galaxy for 50,000 years. The projection vanished, leaving the assembly hall in chaos. Representatives shouted questions, demands, and suggestions all at once. President Martinez called for order, but no one was listening. Admiral Chen activated her personal communicator. This is Chen. Authorization code Alpha 77. Execute Defense Protocol Omega. All fleets, all bases, all hidden assets. The gloves are off. Admiral, General Wong said, approaching her. Are you sure about this? Maybe we should consider their offer. Chen looked at her old friend. Patricia, they're not offering us slavery. They're offering us the chance to choose our chains. That's not negotiation. That's an insult. But their fleet is big and impressive. I'm sure they've used it to intimidate a lot of species over the years, but they made one crucial mistake. What's that? They assumed we'd be afraid. President Martinez finally restored order to the assembly. We need to vote on this, he announced. All in favor of accepting the hegemony's terms? Not a single hand rose. All opposed? Every hand in the hall went up. Then it's unanimous. Prepare our response. The message was broadcast on all frequencies, sent to every human colony and ship in space, and transmitted directly to the alien fleet hanging over Earth's cities. People of Earth and her colonies, President Martinez's voice carried across the solar system and beyond. We have been given an ultimatum by an alien force calling itself the Hegemony of Six. They demand we abandon our colonies, surrender our ships, and serve as their slaves. He paused, letting the words sink into the billions of people listening. Our answer is simple. No. We reject their ultimatum. We reject their authority. We reject their claim to rule over us. Earth bows to no one. Above the cities, the alien ships began to move, repositioning themselves in attack formations. Admiral Chen watched them from her command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Banks of screens showed the movements of every alien vessel, every human ship, every defense platform in the solar system. Admiral, they're powering weapons, reported her communications officer. Let them, Chen replied. Signal all commands, humanity is at war. Show them what that means. The first shots would be fired within hours, but Admiral Chen was already thinking weeks ahead. The aliens expected a quick victory, a show of force that would bring the humans to their knees. They were about to learn their first lesson about humanity. When cornered, humans don't surrender. They bite back. The first attack came at dawn across 12 human colonies simultaneously. The alien ships moved with mechanical precision, their weapons lighting up the darkness of space with beams of pure energy. From orbit, they looked like gods casting lightning. On New Geneva, the largest human colony outside the Sol system, colonist Maria Santos watched the sky burn through her apartment window. The alien dreadnoughts hung above the city like dark clouds, their weapons carving precise lines of destruction through the downtown district. Buildings crumbled. But she noticed something strange. The attacks seemed almost careful, avoiding residential areas and leaving most of the industrial zones intact. Strange way to destroy a city, she muttered to herself as she packed her emergency bag. Captain Marcus Torres commanded the defense platform orbiting Tau Ceti colony. His small fleet of 6 destroyers faced 3 alien dreadnoughts, each one 10 times larger than his flagship. The math was simple and brutal. Sir, we can't win this, his tactical officer reported, her voice tight with stress. They outgun us completely. Torres studied the tactical display. The alien ships approached in perfect formation, their weapons charging with methodical precision. Maybe we're not supposed to win. Maybe we're supposed to survive. Sir, look at their attack patterns. They're hitting command centers, military bases, communication arrays. They're not glassing the colonies, they're conquering them. The first alien beam struck his lead destroyer, and Torres watched it die in a flash of superheated metal. But As the wreckage cooled, he saw something that made him smile grimly. The alien weapon had cut clean through the ship's hull, vaporizing everything in its path. It was incredibly powerful, but also incredibly focused. These weren't weapons designed to kill everything in sight. They were surgical instruments. On Earth, Admiral Chen watched the reports flow in from all 12 attacked colonies. Her staff worked frantically at their stations, coordinating responses and tracking enemy movements. The numbers looked terrible. New Geneva reports 40% of military installations destroyed, reported Colonel Hayes, her chief of staff. Tau Ceti colony has lost half its orbital defenses. Kepler station has gone dark. Casualties? Chen asked. That's the strange part, Admiral. Civilian casualties are surprisingly light. The aliens seem to be avoiding population centers. Chen nodded slowly. They're not trying to exterminate us. They're trying to break our will to fight. She turned to the main display, which showed the locations of every human military asset in known space. Most of her staff thought they were looking at humanity's complete order of battle. They were wrong. Signal Fleet Command, Chen ordered. Begin Phase 2. Dr. Elena Vasquez sat in her xenobiology lab, studying the first footage of alien ground forces. The hegemony soldiers moved with fluid grace, their movements coordinated like dancers. They carried weapons that looked more like art pieces than instruments of war, elegant curves of metal and crystal that hummed with barely contained energy. Interesting, she said to her assistant. Look at their formation. The young scientist leaned over her shoulder. They move together perfectly, like they're connected somehow. Exactly. And look at their weapons. They're set to stun, not kill. They're trying to take prisoners, not eliminate resistance. Why? Would they want prisoners? Dr. Vasquez smiled coldly. Because they still think this is a police action. They think they're disciplining unruly children. On Tau Ceti colony, Captain Torres had evacuated his surviving ships to the asteroid belt. Surrounding the system, his reduced fleet hid among the rocks, waiting and watching as alien forces landed on the colony's surface. Through his long-range scanners, he could see the occupation beginning. "Sir, look at this," his communications officer called out. "I'm picking up alien command transmissions." Torres studied the translated text scrolling across his screen. The alien commanders were reporting back to their superiors about the minimal resistance and acceptable infrastructure preservation. They were treating the invasion like a corporate takeover. They're not even considering the possibility of guerrilla warfare, Torres realized. They think once they control the major installations, they've won. His tactical officer looked confused. Haven't they? Torres activated the colony's emergency broadcast system. All civilians, all militia, all colonial defense forces. This is Captain Torres. The aliens have taken our cities, but they haven't taken our people. Phase 3 is now active. Show them what humans do when someone invades our homes. Within hours, the reports started coming in. Alien patrols ambushed by colonists with mining explosives. Supply convoys disappearing in the asteroid mining tunnels that honeycombed the colony's surface. Alien communication arrays mysteriously malfunctioning. The hegemony commanders had expected compliance once they demonstrated their superior firepower. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to acknowledge defeat. Every building they occupied became a potential battleground. Every corridor could hide an ambush. Fleet Admiral Zexquan studied the reports from his flagship high above Earth. The occupation of the human colonies was proceeding, but not as smoothly as planned. His ground commanders reported increasing resistance, and some of their casualty reports were disturbing. These humans fight differently than other species, his tactical advisor observed. They seem to have no regard for their own survival. Explain, Zexquan ordered. When we conquered the Alteri, they surrendered once we demonstrated superior firepower. The Vegan Confederacy negotiated a peaceful submission after we destroyed their main fleet. But these humans, they continue fighting even when victory is impossible. Zexquan's multiple eyes focused on the tactical display showing Earth's orbital space. The human fleet was smaller than expected, their ships crude compared to hegemony technology. This should have been simple. Admiral, his communications officer, reported. We're receiving a transmission from the human leadership. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main screen. She sat in what looked like a military command center, her expression calm and professional. Admiral Zexaquan of the Hegemony, she began. I wanted to personally thank you for your restraint in attacking our colonies. The fact that you're trying to preserve infrastructure and minimize civilian casualties tells us everything we need to know about your intentions. Zexaquan felt a cold sensation in his chest. How did she know his name? Chen continued. You see this as a police action, a show of force to bring unruly subjects into line. You think if you break our military resistance and occupy our major installations, we'll surrender like civilized beings. The human admiral leaned forward slightly. You're about to learn the first rule about fighting humans. We're not civilized. We never have been. Civilization is just something we wear on top of what we really are. Sir, Zexaquan's tactical officer interrupted. We're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the human colonies. Something is powering up. Chen smiled on the screen. You wanted to see our fleet, Admiral. Our real fleet. Well, here it comes. Across 12 star systems, the asteroids began to move. What the aliens had taken for natural debris fields suddenly revealed themselves as camouflaged military installations. Weapons platforms that had been hiding among the rocks for decades powered up their systems. Ships that had been built inside hollowed-out asteroids activated their engines. Captain Torres watched from his hiding spot as his destroyed colony suddenly came alive with defensive fire. Hidden missile batteries erupted from what looked like mining operations. The alien ground forces found themselves under attack from directions they hadn't even known existed. Phase 3 complete, Torres reported to Earth. All colonies now in active resistance mode. Admiral Chen nodded as the reports flowed in. The first phase of the war was over. The aliens had revealed their capabilities, their tactics, and most importantly, their limitations. They fought like beings who had never faced an enemy that refused to quit. Signal all commands, Chen ordered. Begin Phase 4. Show them what total war looks like. Above Earth, Admiral Zexaquan watched his perfect battle plan crumble. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were fighting back with weapons and tactics that shouldn't have been possible for such a primitive species. His tactical computers couldn't process the data they were receiving. Admiral, his chief of staff said quietly, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. Zexaquan's eyes never left the tactical display. Signal the home fleet. We need reinforcements. On Earth, Admiral Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The aliens had shown their hand, and it was weaker than they pretended. More importantly, they had no idea what they were really fighting. The gloves were about to come off. Deep beneath the Colorado mountains, Admiral Chen walked through corridors that most humans didn't know existed. The facility stretched for miles underground, its walls lined with factories that had been running in secret for decades. The sound of machinery echoed through the tunnels, growing louder as they descended deeper into the earth. How long has this been operational? Asked President Martinez, who had flown in from Washington under heavy security. Since 2341, Chen replied, leading him past massive assembly lines where robotic arms worked on sleek, deadly-looking devices. We call it the Forge. Every human colony has one, hidden beneath the surface or built into asteroid bases. Martinez stopped walking and stared at the scale of the operation. Thousands of workers moved between production lines, assembling weapons that looked nothing like the ones humanity had shown to the galaxy. These were darker, cruder, and somehow more frightening than the elegant alien technology they'd seen. My God, Sarah, how did you hide this from the civilian government? We didn't hide it, Chen said simply. We classified it. Every president since Earth's first contact with alien species has been briefed on the Forge project. You signed the funding authorization last year. Martinez felt cold. I thought that was for defensive research. It was. This is what human defense looks like. On New Geneva Colony, Maria Santos crouched in the ruins of her apartment building, watching alien patrol squads move through the streets below. The occupation had been going on for 3 days, and the aliens were growing frustrated. What should have been a simple takeover was turning into a nightmare. The hegemony soldiers moved in perfect formation, their weapons ready, but they seemed nervous. Every shadow could hide a human fighter. Every pile of debris might be a bomb. The colonists had turned their own city into a trap. "Maria, you ready?" whispered Jake Thompson, a mining engineer who had become one of the resistance leaders. She nodded, checking her equipment. The device in her hands looked like a simple mining charge, the kind used to blast through asteroid rock. But Jake and his team had modified it with components from the colony's industrial replicators. The aliens had no idea what human mining equipment could do when turned into weapons. "Remember," Jake said to the dozen volunteers with them, "we hit them hard and fast, then disappear. Don't try to hold ground. Make them afraid to leave their ships." The attack lasted 30 seconds. The aliens never saw it coming. One moment, their patrol was walking down an empty street. The next moment, the buildings around them erupted in carefully placed explosions. When the smoke cleared, 6 hegemony soldiers lay dead, and the humans had vanished back into the tunnel systems. Beneath the colony, Fleet Admiral Zexaquan reviewed the casualty reports with growing alarm. In 3 days of occupation, his forces had lost more soldiers than in the previous 50 years of hegemony expansion. The humans fought with a savagery that his tactical computers couldn't predict or counter. They used their own infrastructure as weapons, reported his ground commander, Captain Trendak. They booby-trapped their own buildings. They sacrificed their own colonies to kill our soldiers. It's incomprehensible. Dr. Elena Vasquez studied the captured alien in her laboratory. The creature sat perfectly still, its breathing steady, its 4 eyes staring straight ahead. It had been in custody for 2 days and hadn't spoken a word. "Interesting," she said to her assistant. "Watch its stress indicators when I show it this." She activated a holographic display showing footage from Earth's history. The Battle of Stalingrad, the bombing of Dresden, the atomic destruction of Hiroshima. Images of human warfare at its most brutal and total. The alien's stress indicators spiked immediately. Its breathing became rapid and shallow. Its skin changed color from silver to a darker gray. "It's having a panic response," her assistant observed. "Exactly. Show it footage of our wars and it goes into shock. But show it their weapons, their ships, their tactics, and it stays calm. Their entire species has been bred for controlled, limited conflict." Dr. Vasquez leaned closer to the alien. "You don't understand what you're fighting, do you? Your people think war is about demonstrating superiority until the other side submits. But humans don't think about war that way." She activated another display, this one showing human military doctrine files. "We think about war as survival. When you threaten our existence, we don't calculate acceptable losses or strategic objectives. We calculate how to make you stop existing." Captain Torres regrouped his surviving ships in the outer asteroid belt of the Tau Ceti system. His forces had grown from 6 destroyers to nearly 30 vessels, as hidden human ships revealed themselves throughout the system. The aliens had been tracking less than half of humanity's actual military assets. "Sir, Earth Command is transmitting new orders," his communications officer reported. Torres read the message and felt his blood turn cold. "All ships, prepare for Operation Sledgehammer. We're going to show the aliens what total war means." The plan was simple and brutal. Every human ship in the system would simultaneously ram the alien dreadnoughts at maximum velocity. No attempt at survival, no escape pods, just kinetic energy delivered by humans willing to die to ensure their enemy died with them. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "that's a suicide mission." "Yes, it is. Anyone who wants to transfer to non-combat duties can do so now. No shame in it." Not a single crew member left their post. Admiral Chen stood in her command center, watching tactical displays that showed the true scope of human military preparation. For decades, while presenting a face of peaceful exploration to the galaxy, humanity had been preparing for exactly this scenario. "Phase 5 is ready for your authorization," reported Colonel Hayes. Chen looked at the authorization codes in her hand. Phase 5 was the nuclear option, literally and figuratively. It was the level of warfare that humanity had hoped never to use again, but had never stopped preparing for. "Not yet," she said. "Let's see if they're smart enough to back down first." On his flagship, Admiral Zexquan received reports that made no sense. Human ships were emerging from hiding places throughout their colonies, but they weren't running away. They were attacking, despite being outnumbered and outgunned. The tactical analyses showed the humans were choosing combat scenarios where victory was impossible. "Admiral," his tactical officer said, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from the human homeworld. They're powering up something big. Show me." The display lit up with energy readings from Earth's surface. Weapons platforms that hadn't appeared on any of their scans were coming online. Orbital stations that had looked like civilian research facilities were revealing military capabilities. "How many ships do they actually have?" Zexquan asked. "Unknown. Sir, our initial intelligence estimates appear to have been inadequate." In the depths of space, Captain Torres led his suicide squadron toward the alien fleet. 30 human ships accelerating toward 3 hegemony dreadnoughts, their crews singing battle songs over the communications channel. The aliens tried to stop them with long-range weapons, but the human ships had been designed for exactly this kind of attack. They were fast, heavily armored in the front, and piloted by crews who had already accepted death. The first impact sent shockwaves through the hegemony fleet. A human destroyer, moving at significant fractions of light speed, struck an alien dreadnought amidships and tore it in half. The explosion lit up the entire system. 2 more impacts followed within seconds. When the energy signatures cleared, 3 alien dreadnoughts had been reduced to debris, and 30 human crews had died taking them down. But across the system, 100 more human ships appeared from asteroid hiding spots and deep space patrol, routes ready to continue the attack. Admiral Zexquan finally understood what he was fighting. These weren't civilized beings conducting a limited war for territory or resources. These were predators defending their territory with the willingness to die rather than submit. "Signal the Hegemony Council," he ordered. "Request immediate reinforcement. All available fleets." "Sir, what should I tell them about the nature of the threat?" Zexquan looked at the tactical display showing the burning remains of his dreadnoughts. "Tell them we're not fighting a police action. We're fighting something that has no concept of surrender." On Earth, Admiral Chen watched the reports come in. The aliens were calling for reinforcements, which meant they were finally taking humanity seriously, but they still didn't understand what they were really facing. "Signal all commands," she ordered. "Begin Phase 6. Show them what we learned from 10,000 years of killing each other." The asteroid came from nowhere, moving at a significant percentage of light speed. The Hegemony fleet's sensors detected it only seconds before impact, barely enough time for Admiral Zexquan to realize what was happening. The rock itself was nothing special, just an ordinary iron-nickel asteroid about the size of a city block, but when it struck the Hegemony flagship at relativistic velocity, it released energy equivalent to several fusion bombs. The elegant alien dreadnought simply ceased to exist, vaporized in a flash of superheated plasma. Commander Sarah Kim watched the destruction from her command ship, hidden deep in the Wolf 359 asteroid belt. Her team had spent 6 months preparing this trap, using gravitational slings and careful timing to turn the entire asteroid field into a weapon system. "Target eliminated," she reported to Earth Command. "Beginning Phase 2 of the bombardment." More asteroids began to move, each one accelerated by hidden mass drivers and gravitational assists. The Hegemony fleet found itself under attack by the solar system itself, as rocks that had orbited peacefully for millions of years became kinetic weapons. The alien ship's energy shields were designed to deflect sophisticated weapons, particle beams, plasma cannons, antimatter warheads. They had never been tested against simple mass moving at appreciable fractions of light speed. The shields flickered and failed as asteroid after asteroid smashed into the fleet. "This is impossible," Admiral Zexquan transmitted from his secondary command ship. "No civilized species would weaponize an entire star system." Commander Kim's response was broadcast across all frequencies. "We're not civilized. We tried to explain that." Dr. Elena Vasquez sat in her laboratory, surrounded by screens showing footage from human history. She had been broadcasting the images, to captured alien prisoners for days now, documenting their psychological responses to human warfare. The recordings showed the aliens' growing horror as they witnessed humanity's capacity for violence. Images from Earth's world wars, documentation of atomic weapons testing, footage of carpet bombing campaigns, all of it caused measurable trauma in the alien prisoners. They literally cannot process the concept of total war, she explained to Admiral Chen via secure communication. Their brains have been genetically modified over thousands of generations to prevent excessive aggression. They're incapable of understanding warfare as existential struggle. And that's their weakness? It's their critical vulnerability. They fight with calculated force applied for specific objectives. They cannot comprehend fighting with unlimited violence for unlimited goals. Dr. Vasquez activated another display, showing brain scans from alien prisoners. Watch what happens when I show them footage of human urban warfare, civilians fighting soldiers, children carrying bombs, entire populations choosing death over surrender. The alien brain patterns showed immediate signs of severe psychological breakdown. Several of the prisoners had become catatonic after viewing human military history. They're going into defensive psychological shutdown, she continued. Their minds simply cannot accept that a species would be willing to sacrifice everything, including civilian populations, to achieve military victory. On the surface of New Geneva Colony, resistance fighter Maria Santos led her team through the ruins of what had once been the colony's shopping district. The aliens had pulled back their patrols after too many ambushes, but they still controlled the spaceport and government buildings. Maria, you need to see this, called Jake Thompson from a captured alien communication post. She joined him at the alien console, where intercepted transmissions scrolled past in translated text. The alien ground commanders were reporting to their fleet about incomprehensible human tactics and requesting guidance for dealing with non-rational combatants. Look at this one. Jake pointed to a specific message. The alien commander is asking his superiors why humans keep fighting when victory is mathematically impossible. Maria smiled grimly. Because they're doing the math wrong. They're calculating military objectives. We're calculating survival. The alien response came an hour later. Every human colony received the same transmission simultaneously. Human resistance. Forces, the message began. You have demonstrated capabilities beyond our initial assessments. The Hegemony Council offers revised terms. Accept tributary status with reduced resource obligations. Your military forces will be disbanded, but your civilian populations will be protected. The human response was coordinated across 12 star systems. Every resistance cell, every hidden ship, every underground military base transmitted the same message back to the aliens. Our terms remain unchanged. Total withdrawal from human space. You have 24 hours to comply. Admiral Zexaquan could not believe what he was seeing. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and had lost ground on every colony. By every rational calculation, they should be seeking terms for surrender. Instead, they were issuing ultimatums. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we're detecting massive energy buildup from the human homeworld. The display showed Earth's surface, lighting up with energy signatures. Weapons that had never appeared on any hegemony scan were powering up across the planet. Hidden installations were revealing themselves, showing military capabilities that dwarfed what the aliens had encountered at the colonies. How is this possible? Zexaquan demanded. Our intelligence indicated a primitive military with limited shipbuilding capacity. Sir, I think our intelligence was intentionally deceived. The humans appear to have been hiding their true military capabilities for decades. Deep in the Colorado mountains, Admiral Chen walked through production facilities that had been running at maximum capacity since the war began. The forge was no longer hiding its purpose. Every factory on Earth had been converted to military production, and the results were staggering. Production report, she requested from her chief engineer. We're manufacturing 1,000 kinetic kill vehicles per day, 50 antimatter warheads per week. The shipyards are launching a new destroyer every 18 hours. Chen nodded. This was what total war looked like when practiced by a species that had been perfecting it for millennia. And the special weapons? Planet crackers are ready for deployment, Stellar manipulation devices are charged and targeted. The Xenobiological Warfare Division reports their viral weapons are ready for field testing. President Martinez joined them, his face pale as he reviewed the weapons specifications. Sarah, some of these weapons could destroy entire star systems. That's the point, sir. The aliens wanted to see our full military capability. Now they get to. The demonstration came at the Kepler 442 system, where hegemony forces had established a major supply base. The planet was strategically important, heavily defended, and home to several billion alien civilians. The human attack didn't target the planet's defenses or military installations. Instead, a single ship appeared at the edge of the system and deployed a device no larger than a shuttle. The device activated the planet's volcanic systems. Within hours, Kepler 442 was shaking itself apart from the inside. Massive earthquakes split continents. Volcanoes erupted across the planet's surface. The atmosphere filled with ash and toxic gases. The hegemony fleet evacuated what civilians they could, but most of the planet's population died in the geological catastrophe. When it was over, Kepler 442 was uninhabitable, its surface a cracked wasteland of cooling lava. The human message that followed was simple and direct. This is what happens when you threaten our species. Withdraw from human space or we will deploy these weapons against every hegemony world. Admiral Zexquan stared at the tactical display showing the dead planet. The humans hadn't just defeated a military installation. They had committed genocide using weapons that turned a world's own geology against its inhabitants. Sir, his communications officer said quietly, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 hegemony worlds. They're asking us to withdraw from human space before the humans target them. And the Council's response? They're authorizing use of the final protocol. Zexquan felt his blood freeze. The final protocol had never been used. It was the hegemony's ultimate weapon, designed to sterilize entire star systems when conventional military action failed. Sir, are you sure? The final protocol will kill everything in the target system. Every planet, every moon, every form of life. The humans have left us no choice. They refuse to follow the rules of civilized warfare. If they will not submit, they must be eliminated. On Earth, Admiral Chen received the intelligence report about the hegemony's final protocol with grim satisfaction. How long until their superweapon arrives? She asked. 72 hours, Admiral. Perfect. That gives us just enough time to show them what human final protocol looks like. She activated her command console and entered the authorization codes she had hoped never to use. Signal all commands. Execute order extinction. Show them what happens when you threaten humanity with total annihilation. Across human space, weapons that had been hidden for generations began to power up. The hegemony thought they were about to witness humanity's destruction. Instead, they were about to learn why apex predators don't negotiate with prey. The surrender offer came when the hegemony superweapon was still 48 hours away from Earth. Ambassador Vexithara appeared again in the United Earth Assembly. But this time, the proud alien's demeanor had changed completely. Its silver skin had turned gray, and its four eyes darted nervously around the room. When it spoke, its voice carried none of the arrogant authority from before. The Hegemony Council recognizes that our initial assessment of human capabilities was incomplete, Vexithara began. We are prepared to discuss terms for cessation of hostilities. Admiral Chen stood up from her seat in the military section. What terms? Complete withdrawal of hegemony forces from human space. Recognition of human, territorial claims. Establishment of a non-aggression treaty between our civilizations. The assembly hall fell silent. This was everything humanity had demanded from the beginning. But President Martinez looked to Admiral Chen before responding, and what he saw in her eyes made him pause. Admiral? He asked quietly. Chen walked forward until she stood directly in front of Vexithara's projection. You declared war on Earth. You attacked our colonies, you killed our people. You threatened us with complete extermination unless we submitted to slavery. Yes, and we acknowledge those actions were. You misunderstood the situation, Chen interrupted. This isn't a negotiation. This is a surrender demand. From us to you. Vexithera's eyes widened. I don't understand. Our terms are simple. Total. Annihilation of the hegemony of 6. Every ship, every world, every trace of your civilization. You declared war on humanity. We told you the price would be your complete destruction. Nothing has changed. But we offer peace. We offer withdrawal. Admiral Chen smiled, and that smile was the coldest thing anyone in the assembly had ever seen. You should have offered that before you tried to exterminate us. Now it's too late. The projection vanished as Vexithara terminated the connection. President. Martinez stared at Chen in shock. Admiral, they're offering everything we wanted. No, sir, they're offering what they wanted to give us all along. The illusion of choice. But they still have their superweapon pointed at Earth. They still have fleets threatening human colonies. They're just scared because they finally realize what they're fighting. And what are we fighting? The total elimination of any species that threatens humanity's existence. We tried to warn them. They didn't listen. 47 hours before the hegemony superweapon reached Earth, Admiral Chen activated order extinction. Across human space, weapon systems that had been built in secret for decades came online. Not the conventional military assets the aliens had been fighting, but devices that represented humanity's true understanding of total warfare. The first target was the hegemony's capital world of Zentara Prime, home to 50 billion aliens and the seat of their government for 10,000 years. The human attack came from inside the planet. Dr. Elena Vasquez had spent months studying captured alien biology, not for medical knowledge, but to create the perfect weapon. The virus she designed was species-specific, targeting the hegemony's artificially modified genetic structure. It spread through their global communication networks, carried in data packets that infected alien neural interfaces. Within hours, every connected alien on Zentara Prime was dead, killed by a disease that turned their own enhanced biology against them. But killing the population was just the beginning. As the aliens died, the virus activated the second phase of its programming. It hijacked the planet's industrial systems, turning manufacturing plants into bomb factories, converting civilian infrastructure into weapons. The planet began to destroy itself from within. Its own technology turned against it. When the hegemony fleet tried to evacuate survivors, they found that their own ship systems had been infected. The virus spread through their quantum communication networks, jumping from world to world faster than any physical weapon could travel. Admiral Zexquan watched his civilization die in real time. Sir, we've lost contact with 47 core worlds, his communications officer reported, her voice shaking. The human virus has infected our entire communication grid. Cut all communications, isolate every ship. It's too late, sir. The virus is already in our systems. It's learning, adapting, spreading through every network connection. On his tactical display, Zexquan watched as red indicators appeared across hegemony space. Each one represented a dead world, a silent fleet, a civilization that had existed for millennia and was being systematically erased. How long? He asked. At current rate of spread? 72 hours until complete network saturation. Every hegemony, world, every ship, every outpost. Captain Torres led the human fleet's final assault on the hegemony's military strongholds, but there was barely any resistance left. The aliens' command structure was collapsing as world after world went dark. Sir, we're receiving surrender transmissions from 17 different hegemony fleets, his communications officer reported. Ignore them, Torres ordered. Continue the attack. Sir, they're asking for mercy. Some of these ships have civilian refugees aboard. Torres looked at the tactical display showing the systematic destruction of an entire galactic civilization. He felt no sympathy. They should have thought about mercy before they threatened to exterminate humanity. Continue the attack. The battle for the hegemony's final stronghold lasted 6 hours, not because the aliens fought hard, but because it took that long for human forces to work their way through the massive station's corridors, eliminating every alien they found. There were no prisoners taken. There were no surrender negotiations. There was only the methodical extinction of a species that had made the mistake of threatening humanity's existence. Dr. Vasquez watched the final phases of the xenobiological warfare program from her laboratory on Earth. The virus had exceeded even her most optimistic projections, spreading through 90% of hegemony space within 70 hours. Status report on the surviving populations? Admiral Chen asked via secure communication. Negligible. Admiral, a few isolated colonies that weren't connected to the communication networks. Maybe 50,000 individuals total, scattered across uninhabitable worlds. And their ability to rebuild? Zero. The virus targeted not just their biology but their technology. Every manufacturing facility, every research station, every educational institution has been destroyed. They lack the industrial base to create anything more complex than basic tools. Chen nodded. Begin Phase 7. Elimination of survivors. President Martinez entered Admiral Chen's command center as the final reports came in. The hegemony of Six, a civilization that had ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years, had been completely destroyed in less than 4 days. My God, Sarah. What have we done? We won, Chen replied simply. Completely and permanently. But the cost? Entire species extinct. Billions dead. They chose this outcome when they declared war on Earth. We offered them peace. We offered them the chance to leave us alone. They chose extermination instead, so we exterminated them first. Yes, sir. That's what total war means. When someone threatens your species with extinction, you don't defeat them. You eliminate them so completely that they can never threaten you again. The final human ships returned to Earth carrying data. Cores from every hegemony world. Complete records of their technology, their history, their culture. Everything that remained of a galactic civilization now existed only in human databases. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, looking out at the space where the hegemony's capital system used to be, where 50 billion aliens had lived and worked just days before. There was now only cooling debris and background radiation. Signal all commands, she ordered. Begin colonization operations. Human expansion into former hegemony space is authorized. Her final log entry was transmitted across human space and beyond, reaching every alien civilization within 500 light years. They declared war on Earth. They threatened us with slavery and extinction. They believed their superior technology and ancient civilization gave them the right to dominate humanity. They learned too late that Earth didn't climb to the top of its food chain by being reasonable. We are what evolution creates when survival requires the capacity for unlimited violence. We tried to warn them. We offered them peace. They chose war instead. We answered with total annihilation, as promised. Let this be a lesson to any species that considers threatening humanity. We don't negotiate with existential threats. We eliminate them. Completely. Permanently. Without mercy or remorse. The galaxy now knows what humans really are. Not explorers seeking peaceful contact. Not children playing with adult technology. We are apex predators who have spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of total war. The hegemony of Six existed for 50 millennia. It took us 4 days to erase them from the universe. Consider that carefully before you decide how to interact with humanity. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations updated their databases with a new classification for the human species. Extinction level threat. Do not engage under any circumstances. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.